की जय, जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जनताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lotus feet of Śrīla Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Krishna, Namo Vishnu Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsadevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsadevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsadevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatīm Vyāsam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So we are studying from, welcome everyone to the Hare Krishna Temple, Burbank, for the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sunday morning, 5th of May. We continue with our study of Canto 1, chapter number 6. Canto 1 is called the Creation. Chapter 6 is conversation between Śrīla Nārada Muni and Śrīla Vyāsadeva. Thank you. And we are almost coming to the end of the chapter. Verse number 37. So please open 1:6:37. Are you all there? Sūta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vīṇām Ranayan Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi Sūta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vīṇām Ranayan Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi Sūta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vīṇām Ranayan Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi Sūta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vīṇām Ranayan Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi Sūta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vīṇām Ranayan Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi Sūta Sūta Uvaca Evam Sambhashya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra vīṇām ranayan Yayo yadrachika muni Sūta Uvaca Evam Sambhashya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra vīṇām ranayan Yayo yadrachiko muni. Please. Sūta Uvaca Evam Sambhashya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra vīṇām ranayan Yayo yadrachiko muni. So word to word, please repeat after me. Sūta Gosvāmī
Sūta Gosvāmī
Uvaca said Evam das Sambhashya addressing Bhagavan transcendently powerful Narada Muni Vasavi named Vasavi Satyavati Sūtam son Amantra inviting Vīṇām instrument Ranayan vibrating Yayo went Yadrachikaha wherever willing Muni the sage. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Sūta Gosvāmī said, thus addressing Vyasadeva, Śrīla Nārada Muni took leave of him and vibrating on his vīṇā instrument, he left to wander at his free will. Purport. Every living being is anxious for full freedom because that is his transcendental nature. And this freedom is obtained only through the transcendental service of the Lord. Illusioned by the external energy, everyone thinks that he is free, but actually he is bound up by the laws of nature. A conditioned soul cannot freely move from one place to another, even on this earth, and what to speak of one planet to another. But a full-fledged, free soul like Narada, always engaged in chanting the Lord's glory, is free to move, not only on earth, but also in any part of the universe, as well as in any part of the spiritual sky. We can just imagine the extent and unlimitedness of his freedom, which is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. There is no reason or obligation for his traveling, and no one can stop him from his free movement. Similarly, the transcendental system of devotional service is also free. It may or may not develop in a particular person, even after he undergoes all the detailed formulas. Similarly, the association of the devotee is also free. One may be fortunate to have it, or one may not have it even after thousands of endeavors. Therefore, in all spheres of devotional service, freedom is the main pivot. Without freedom, there is no execution of devotional service. The freedom surrendered to the Lord does not mean that the devotee becomes dependent in every respect. To surrender unto the Lord through the transparent medium of the spiritual master is to attain complete freedom of life. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Sarasvatī Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desh Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Did you recite Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So here in this, we are seeing the end of this chapter. Vyasadeva was feeling morose. Then his guru Śrī Nārada Muni comes. He gives him instructions, tells him to speak on Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the Amala Puran, write Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and then now he's, after giving instructions on the Supreme Lord as well as the material nature, he's leaving now. Sometimes when we read these verses, we actually cannot imagine the extent of how much deep this purport is. So I want to today just probably analyze each and every line. And I want to be interactive. Every living being is anxious for full freedom because that is his transcendental nature. Now, what does that mean?
Everybody wants freedom.
Why?
Because it's innate nature.
Innate nature, why? You're right, everyone's right. We're just going a bit deeper.
Because Krishna is fully independent.
Krishna is fully independent, we are part of. So we have to understand this very, very clearly, that even when we are in difficulty, when we are having good time, whatever time we are, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, that freedom is given to us. And that freedom to choose anything and everything. Right? But of course, right now, so far, we have been choosing according to our wicked mind. But now, with study of Srila Prabhupada's Srīmad Bhāgavatam, we are getting spiritual intelligence, and we can use spiritual intelligence to get this freedom. And this freedom is obtained only through the transcendental service of the Lord. Why is that so? I am free to do anything, Prabhu. I'm in Australia. Right? So why is only through the transcendental service of the Lord? Okay, innate nature. What else?
Because Lord is full in independence.
Lord is fully independent, yes.
Because He is the only one who can give us freedom.
Okay, He is the only one who can give us freedom, yes. But here the word transcendental service is coming. So we have to connect to the Lord through the service. So when you are connected, Prabhupada says that if a king is going somewhere, his servant also gets a similar facility. So the Lord is independent, free, and if we are in His service, we are also free to enjoy that freedom. Yes? So when we make connections like this, it becomes very easy for us to understand, yes, if I want to be free, if I just engage in devotional service, the freedom will come. Yeah? What phrase does Krishna use in Bhagavad Gita for this? He used the phrase called regulative principles of freedom. So you have to write this, regulative principles of freedom. Now, we have discussed this earlier. Regulation and freedom are two opposites. Right? It sounds like oxymoron. Regulation and freedom. But no, actually, if you see everywhere, only if we follow regulations can we be free. Yeah? For work, if we follow regulation, we can be free to take decisions. But if we don't follow the regulations, if we don't follow the principles of business, we cannot do that. Okay, the third line. Illusioned by the external energy, everyone thinks that he is free. Probably we are doing 1:6:37. Yeah? And we are analyzing each and every line. Because generally in half an hour during the weekday we don't get that opportunity. Illusioned by the external energy, everyone thinks that he is free, but actually he is bound up by the laws of nature. So what does this statement say? Let's take it from many angles. Illusioned by the external energy, everyone thinks that he is free, but actually he is bound up by the laws of nature.
Three modes of nature.
Okay.
Everybody's bound.
Yeah, that's fine, but what about that?
This is the effect of Maya.
So that's the illusion, okay? And where does illusion coming from? The statement says that.
If we go away from
No, the sentence says that. Where is it? Yes, external energy of the Lord. So because we are situated in the external energy of the Lord. The moment we are connected with the Lord, we are free. We heard that, right?
Yeah.
But the moment we are covered by the external energy, when we are not in the transcendental service of the Lord, that means we are illusioned. Yes? Please forgive me for going to the basics, but this is very important for all of us to understand. So illusion by the external energy, everyone thinks that he's free, but actually he is bound up by the laws of nature. Now why are we bound up by the laws of nature? I'm free. I'm here in Australia, I've got a PR, I've got a citizenship, I can go anywhere in Australia. Am I bound up? No, I'm not bound up.
But still it depends on your situations and your health condition, whether you can move or anything that will-
Okay, so we are bound up.
Yeah.
Even you
Okay.
have to follow the rules and regulations.
You have to still follow the rules and regulations. Yeah? Yes?
And also it depends on where our consciousness is free.
Yes. Depends on the consciousness. Most importantly, consciousness is free. Yeah? Recently I had someone visiting our house and quite distressed situation. And, Radha Kunjari looked very beautiful and they didn't even think of paying obeisances. Then I requested them, take darshan. They took darshan, but they had no idea of what they're looking at. Because the consciousness is completely, not in the proper frame of mind. So yes, when we are bound by the laws of nature, and again, we know when we are bound by the laws of nature is because of the avidya we have, the ignorance we have that I am the enjoyer and the controller. No, we are subservient to the Lord and we can understand our position and connect to the Lord in transcendental service, as this purport says, then we are not bound by the laws of nature. Yeah? Even though the material nature is going to affect us, but we can still be free. Prabhupada was completely free of any bodily concept of life. We see so many devotees are working so hard, they're completely free of the conception, of bodily conception of life. Any questions as to why we are bound? How can we be free? Are you really telling us the truth? Is the Bhāgavatam scientific? Is it valid, authorized, authentic? No, it is true. We'll come to that. Next sentence. A conditioned soul cannot freely move from one place to another, even on this earth, and what to speak of one planet to another. Of course, we need visa to go to any place. We need proper facility. We just can't go like Narada Muni, think of the place and get there. No, we are still conditioned. But a full-fledged free soul like Narada, always engaged in chanting the Lord's glory, is free to move not only on earth, but also in any part of the universe, as well as in any part of the spiritual sky. So what does that tell us?
Basically, Narada is able to move around all the places, but we aren't as conditioned souls.
Okay.
We are bound to one place, but we think that we can freely move around.
Okay.
His degree of freedom is higher than ours.
Okay. So who do we know now who's follower of Narada Muni and he was moving freely?
Śrīla Prabhupada.
Yes. So we know Śrīla Prabhupada, at the age of 69, most of us with 69, we don't know what's going to happen to us. But he traveled the world in the next 12 years, about 14 times. Right? He established so many temples, wrote so many books, established institutions. Yeah. So we can see that once you are connected in the service of the Lord, you are even Jayapataka Maharaj, for example, now, like so many sort of into inverted commas physical ailments is going through, but is he bound up? Now Murali Hariprabhu was saying that when he was in Mayapur recently, every day he is going to give class. So class is the easiest part. Then the difficult part is meetings. He has to attend so many meetings. Right? Even in this age and this state of his physical situation, he's still completely not in bodily concepts. He's completely free. Does it make sense? Yes? No?
Yes, yes.
Emphatic yes? Hesitant yes? Okay. We can just imagine the extent and unlimitedness of his freedom, which is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. When we chant our Guru Ashtakam in the morning, we say Sakshad Hari Tvena Samasta Shastra. That means all the Shastras are saying that the spiritual master is like Sakshad Hari. He's not Hari, but he's like Sakshad Hari. So here Narada Muni is like that. He is, his extent and unlimitedness of his freedom is as good as the Lord. So what is Narada Muni doing?
He's spreading the messages of the Lord.
Yes. This is interesting. In the word-to-word translation, there is a word called amantrya. Amantrya means inviting. In the translation, the word inviting doesn't appear here, right? So what is Narada Muni doing? Who is inviting?
He's inviting, Narada Muni is inviting the miserable souls to chant.
Yes, and take up Krishna consciousness, yes. So he's inviting, he's leaving one place, he spent enough time with Vyasadeva, given him the instructions, and now he's going to leave to another place to give instructions to some other people. Yeah, that's Narada Muni, and that's why he is completely unlimited in his freedom of travel. Imagine how many frequent flyer points he could have conducted. Just think about that, unlimited frequent flyer points. So yes, we can just imagine the extent and unlimitedness of his freedom, which is as good as that of Supreme Lord. Now these instructions, we can use it at a time when we are going through some down in our life. When we are feeling low, we can understand actually no. And the best thing to do when we are feeling low, just chant Hare Krishna, pick up Bhagavatam, pick up Bhagavad Gita, read one verse. And as Mahatma Gandhi says at the back of Bhagavad Gita, what does he say? That when doubts haunt me, I pick up Bhagavad Gita and read one verse from that, and then I immediately see the light at the horizon. Sees the light on the horizon. This is what happens in our life. That when we connect with the Lord by the means of devotional service, then we can experience this freedom. Right? Otherwise, let's think, what are we bound by? Think of practical, don't think of too devotional stuff. Just think of practically, what are we bound by?
We are bound by our family.
Okay, family one.
Nature.
Nature, how does nature bind you?
It is cold.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, immediately.
Yeah.
Cover up, sneezing. The senses are not in control. We feel like sleeping more. These things happen. So we're bound by nature. What else?
Thoughts as well.
Thoughts, bound by thoughts, yes. Thoughts, yes. Krishna says the mind is the best of the friend and the worst of the enemy. And what does he tell us to do? Control the mind, regulate the mind. Upgrade yourself with the help of the mind. Yeah. Now you must be thinking, why am I talking about these things? Because the weather is like that. I want you to be uplifted, everyone to be, spirits to be high. Okay, so we're bound by work, we're bound by fatigue, we're bound by sleep, bound by so many things. Yeah. Recently someone, I can say my age, I'm 62, and even though I don't want to be in my school group, but I have to be in my school WhatsApp group, and one of them sent us a meme, showing that, a couple is on one of the roller coaster rides, but they're both sleeping. It says, don't wait to travel till you feel like this. So we are bound by our conditioning of the body. So yes, we are bound. Even though we might think we are free, but then if you understand that this is the situation, we can just imagine the extent and unlimitedness of Narada Muni's freedom. Yes, there's no reason or obligation for his traveling, and no one can stop him from his free movement. Interesting. Even though he's got no reason or obligation, but he still travels. And then what Prabhupada says? No one can stop him from his free movement. So what does that mean? What is one word which makes him travel, makes Prabhupada travel, makes all the devotees travel, makes all the devotees do all these, wonderful things. Like yesterday we had a festival. There's so much hard work had gone into it.
Love.
Okay, love is one. Devotion is one, yes. Purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
There's a higher purpose. Narada Muni has a purpose. His purpose is not just to, he could have said, Vyasadeva, you write Bhagavatam, everyone will read Bhagavatam, and I will get the credit. Yes, no problem. But what do we see here now? What's he doing? He's immediately leaving, chanting glories of the holy name on his vīṇā, and then traveling again. This is what Narada Muni is doing to us, telling us practically that yes, we can also do that. Yeah. So even though there is no reason or obligation for his traveling, but no one can stop him from his free movement. He's completely free, like the Lord. Okay, next line, someone wants to read that, please. Similarly,
Similarly, the transcendental system of devotional service is also free.
read the next line also.
It may or may not develop in a particular person even after he undergoes all the detailed formulas.
So what does it say here? The devotional service is
Also
free.
whether you want to do it or not.
Okay, but then what he says?
It may or may not develop in a particular person even after he undergoes all.
So when someone calls you or someone meets you on the road and says, this is free, say, no, I don't want it. Right? So this is like that. Bhakti is free, but we know one thing, Bhakti is completely independent. Bhakti is not dependent on anything material. Bhakti comes only from Bhakti. Bhakti comes only from Bhakti. No material situation can affect the coming alive of Bhakti, maintenance of Bhakti, progress of Bhakti. No material element can touch it. Bhakti is completely free. Bhakti is completely dependent on Bhakti. That's why Prabhupada says that the transcendental system of devotional service is also free. It is free, yes, but it may or may not develop in a particular person even after he undergoes all the detailed formulas. Because even after we chant our rounds, get up in the morning, take shower, do all the puja, do everything, but still Bhakti is completely independent. Bhakti will come, and that's the test of the devotees. That yes, Krishna, I will wait. What does the last verse of Shikshastakam tell us? Whether you embrace me or you make me broken-hearted by not being present before me, I am your servant unconditionally. So that's the position we are in, fortunately or unfortunately. Yeah. But now this is a very fortunate position we are in.
Prabhu, just one thing if you can comment on, like Bhakti is fully independent, we mentioned. But sometimes when we speak to people, devotees, and sometimes ourselves also, we fall in, become a victim of this thing that, okay, let me sort this out first and then I can do that. How do we respond to that?
So, in the case of a newcomer, of course, it has to happen gradually and proportionately. This morning only we were hearing a class. So there's an ideal, there's an ideal of Bhakti. For all of us, there's an ideal of Bhakti. And there is what you call real. I'm real, Prabhu, like 4 regulative principles, very hard to follow. We must go down a little bit, because most devotees can't follow this, let's get real. So one solution is that we run away, we reduce the ideal, but that's also not going to give us a result. The second is run away from the real. Okay, run away from the ideal, not the real, the ideal. So you run away, it's too much for me, it's better if I stay away from the devotees, at least the guilt feeling won't be there. If I'm with the devotees and not following, the guilt feeling is there. But what is then the ideal solution is that we rise gradually. Even for us, if we think, for a newcomer, if we help them to rise gradually, it will help. For us, we know that, we recently heard that if we are going to give priority to our bhakti, then we will allocate prime time for bhakti. Yes? And once you allocate prime time, once the discipline is there, then, of course, there are some days which, are difficult, some emergency days, but generally we don't live in an emergency. Sometimes people tell us that, Prabhu, how can you just get determination in doing all these things, chanting 16 rounds, studying like this, preaching like this. But they themselves forget to understand that they've already used that determination in achieving so many things. Right? There were 1.45 billion people in India. We are here. There's determination to apply for a visa. We came here. There's determination to settle down here. We settled down here. There's determination to study and get a job here. We got it done here. Yes? Did we have that determination? No. We have that determination. Same determination. All we have to do is, as it says here, we just have to dovetail from material to spiritual. Does it help you, or did I answer completely differently? Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, maybe it's all about priorities as well, Prabhu. Before, since we did not know much, our priority was getting into the material, doing all those material things. Now we understand a bit, so we are slowly moving into spiritual as a priority than getting into the material.
Yes. And how many years you've been doing that, Prabhu? How many years approximately, how many months you've been doing that? Like changing your gear from material to spiritual?
I think since we started doing the chants.
6 months, 1 year, 2 years? 2 years? Yeah, 2 years? Yeah. And next question is from Nitya. Have they not done any other things which were required to do? So same thing Krishna does. That when we give priority to Krishna, He makes everything else happen for us. Yes, everything else happens. How many meals you didn't cook, Mataji? More. Because you offer to Krishna. So yes, everything is done on time because we become more disciplined. The only thing which happens is the unwanted things get out. What things are not required in our life, this goes out of the window. Slowly. It takes time, but it will happen. Does it make sense? Yeah. So bhakti is independent, but we have to focus on bhakti, and we have to be patient. This sentence basically says we have to be patient. Bhakti will come. Krishna is not a hard taskmaster. Devotees are not hard taskmasters. So bhakti will come. We have to just be patient. Okay, next. Someone wants to read the next couple of lines. Similarly, the association.
Similarly, the association of the devotee is also free.
Next one.
One may be fortunate to have it or may not have it even after thousands of endeavors.
Next one, yes.
Therefore, in all spheres of devotional service, freedom is the main pivot.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. So the associate of devotee is also free. Yes? Would you agree? Yes. Yeah? Except you have to feed them prasadam. You have to do that. Right? You have to give them cake. Go to someone's house to ice the cake middle of the night. These things you have to do. But, of course, the association of devotees is free. One may be fortunate to have it, or one may not have it even after thousands of endeavors. In this case, if you remember what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells us, 3 things are required. Please note very carefully. 3 things are required for us getting the benefit of association of devotees. The first one is that we have to associate with a devotee with an open heart. Many times we see devotees come to us and they have already decided what they want to do. And then they come and just, want to get justification from us. No, keep an open heart. You come here and you want to get some guidance, keep an open heart, and then that's the first condition. We go to the devotees with an open heart. Second is that the topic of Krishna must be included in that. The second topic is, the second item is, in the association, the topic of Krishna has to be included. Without Krishna consciousness, it just becomes mundane. Any other motivational speech or any other, like counseling or something like that. But association of devotees means the topic of Krishna has to be there. And the third ingredient of an association is that whatever has been told to us, we must try to apply practically in our lives. Because if we don't apply practically in our lives, then of course that remains theory. It will be some use, but not of much use. So this is what Prabhupada says here, that yes, even when we endeavor many times, we might just not get the benefit. because of the absence of one or more of these conditions. Yeah. And sometimes, as we discussed a couple of days ago, that some things which is bothering us for some long time, we think and we try to find solution. Think for weeks and weeks and weeks. But if you just express that to a devotee within 2 minutes, you can get a proper solution. Because the devotee is thinking from the viewpoint of the Shastra. So you can just tell you, okay, do this, and the solution comes. Last couple of lines. Without freedom, there is no execution of devotional service. In love, there is no force. Without freedom, there is no execution of devotional service. Very important line, you have to understand. But at the same time, as we saw in the beginning, that to be free, we have to perform devotional service. Yes? So how smart Prabhupada is, what a genius he is. In the beginning he says, okay, by devotional service, you can get the freedom. But here now he's saying that when there is without freedom, there is no execution of devotional service. Interesting, isn't it? But because that's our original constitutional position, when we engage in devotional service, we actually feel happy and free. We always say this. After Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, did he say, do this? What did he say?
It's your choice.
Think about it, deliberate on it, and what is it? What the verse goes? Now do whatever you think fit, and then Arjuna says, Karishye vachanam tava. That I will do what you tell me to do, because my moha is gone. Nashta moha smritir labdva. Yat prasada priyachyuta. That by your mercy, my illusion is gone, and I have regained my memory. This is what happens when we perform devotional service, when we come and hear and chant Srimad Bhāgavatam. This is what happens. The freedom surrender to the Lord does not mean that the devotee becomes dependent in every respect. When we surrender our freedom, it doesn't mean that we become dependent in every respect. Actually, surrender, what does surrender mean? Means depending on the instruction of the scriptures, depending on the instruction of the spiritual master, depending on the instructions of Krishna. But what does that give us ultimately? As we hear from Narada Muni, we can just imagine the extent and unlimitedness of his freedom. Why? Because he's completely surrendered to the Lord. So this is what happens, that we become independent in many, many respects. Right? To surrender unto the Lord through the transparent medium of the spiritual master is to attain complete freedom of life. Just imagine this, the power of this statement here, what Prabhupada is saying. To surrender unto the Lord through the transparent medium of the spiritual master. Because spiritual master is a transparent medium. He is like a telescope who's bringing something which is very far. The Lord, God is generally, you think, he's far out, like I've got no connection with him. But the spiritual master, it brings him very close to us. And when we surrender unto that Lord, we can attain complete freedom of life. Yeah? Any questions or comments on this verse? I hope not, because you've completely analyzed this. Last verse of this purport, this chapter, 1638. Aho devarshir dhanyoyam yat kirtim sharanang shangridan manaha Gayan madyan idam tantrya ramyatyatturam jagat aho devarshir dhanyoyam yad kirtim sharnanga dhanvaha Gayan madyan idam tantrya ramyatyaturam jagat. Please repeat after me. Aho, all glory to Devarshi, the stage of the gods. Dhanya, all success. Ayam yat, one who Kirtim glories. Sharanga Dhanvanaha of the personality of Godhead. Gayan singing. Madhyam taking pleasure in. Idam this. Tantriya by means of the instrument. Ramyati enlivens. Aturam distressed. Jagat world. So Sharanga Dhanvana means one who holds the Sharanga bow. Krishna's bow is called Sharanga. He is also called Saranga Pani. One who in whose hands the Saranga is there. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glory and success to Śrīla Nārada Muni because it glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead. And so doing, he himself takes pleasure and also enlivens all the distressed souls of the universe. Aho Deva Shir Dhanyo Yam. Such a nice way to, say goodbye. Nārada Muni is leaving, says, Aho Deva Shir Dhanyo Yam. And what is he doing? Yat Kirtim Sarang Dhanvanaha. He is glorifying the personality who is holding Saranga. Purport. Śrī Nārada Muni plays on his instrument to glorify the transcendental activities of the Lord and to give relief to all miserable living entities of the universe. No one is happy here in the universe, and what is felt as happiness is Maya's illusion. The illusory energy of the Lord is so strong that even the hog who lives in filthy stool feels happy. No one can be truly happy within the material world. Śrīla Nārada Muni, in order to enlighten the miserable inhabitants, wanders everywhere. His mission is to get them back home, back to Godhead. That is the mission of all genuine devotees of the Lord, following the footsteps of that great sage. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhāgavatam, entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. So here again, Narada Muni is leaving, on his vīṇā, he is chanting the Lord's names, and all glory and success are being, given to him because he is following in the footsteps of the Lord. And Prabhupada says that that's the mission, the purpose of all genuine devotees of the Lord, following in the footsteps of Narada Muni. So yes, we were working under the illusory energy so far, but somehow or the other, by some good fortune, we are here under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, Śrīla Nārada Muni, Śrīla Vyasadeva, and all the other previous acharyas. So, when we meditate on these chapters, especially the last two chapters, the 5th and the 6th chapter, we can see that wonderful instructions are given, wonderful etiquette is given also. As we know, Krishna consciousness is divided into 3 parts. One is the Siddhanta, the philosophy, one is the culture, and the third one is etiquette. So here the etiquette also is mentioned. Does anyone remember how when Brahma left, we recently studied the Brahma Vimohan Lila. So when Brahma left, what did he do?
Bowed down.
He bowed down to Lord.
Then what did he do?
And he departed to do his duty.
Okay, but before that he did something else also.
Glorified the Lord.
Also circumambulated the Lord 3 times. So this is the way. There's a culture here. There's an etiquette here. But this is the way we even among Vaishnavas. Even among Vaishnavas, when 2 Vaishnavas meet, generally the etiquette is that the senior one, they pay their obeisances, and the junior ones, they pay their obeisances, and the senior ones, if they want to embrace, they'll embrace. So when Nanda Maharaj goes to see Vyasadeva, Nanda Maharaj pays obeisances, and Vyasadeva embraces him. So these are something simple, but then we also understand for everything. When we come here in the temple, we bow down to the Lordships, to Srila Prabhupada, we sit down, and generally we don't also sit on just floor. We have to have asanas, but of course we have carpet here. So these are some small etiquettes we are being taught here. So Narada Muni is leaving. He is told that yes, I've given instructions by which what does he say in the previous verse? I think in the 36th verse, I think. is yes, and all this will be conducive for your personal satisfaction also. So when we hear something like this, it actually satisfies us. It gives us satisfaction. Yesterday when we had a good festival, and then we're satisfied. Yes, such a nice festival it was there, and everyone's happy, and then everyone leaves, very satisfied and very happy. So we continue with chapter 7, unless anyone has any questions.
Prabhu, universe here means it's not only Earth, it's other apart from Earth, isn't it? So does the story being related in all the places, other planets as well?
Yes, so the pastimes can be going on anywhere. Yeah. But this pastime particularly, it is referring to the Bhumandal here, the Bhoma, our earthly planet. Yeah, but these pastimes are going on everywhere. Yeah. So text, chapter 7, the son of Drona punished, text number 1. Śaunaka uvaca Nirgate Narade Sūta Nirgate Narade Sūta Bhagavan Badarayanaha Śrutvam stad abhipretam Tata kim akarod vibhu Tata kim akarod vibhu Śaunaka uvaca
Nirgate Narade Sūta
Nirgate Narade Sūta Bhagavan Badarayanaha Śrutvam stad abhipretam Tatah kim akarod vibhu Śaunaka uvaca
Nirgate Narade Sūta
Nirgate Narade Sūta
Bhagavan Badarayanaha
Bhagavan Badarayanaha
Śrutavanstat abhipretam Tatah kim akarot vibhu
Tatah kim akarod vibhu Mataji. Śaunaka uvaca
Nirgate Narade Sūta
Nirgate Narade Sūta Bhagavan Badarayanaha Śrutvam stadabhipretam Tata kim akarod vibhu Śaunaka uvaca Nirgate Narade Sūta Bhagavan Badarayanaha Śrutvam stadabhipretam Tatah kim akarod vibhu. Thank you. What word? Śaunaka, Śrī Śaunaka uvaca said, Nirgate having gone, Narade Narada Muni, Sūta, O Sūta, Bhagavan, the transcendently powerful, Badrayana Vedas, Śrutavan, who heard, Tat his, Abhipretam, desire of the mind, Tatah thereafter, Kim what, Akarot did he do, Vibhu the great. Translation and purport by Śrīla Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Ṛṣi Śaunaka said, O Sūta, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Śrī Nārada Muni. So after Narada's departure, what did Vyasadeva do? Purport. In this chapter, the clue for describing Srīmad Bhāgavatam is picked up as Maharaj Parikshit is miraculously saved in the womb of his mother. This was caused by Droni Ashwatthama, Acharya Drona's son, who killed the 5 sons of Draupadi while they were asleep, for which he was punished by Arjuna. Before commencing the great epic Srīmad Bhāgavatam, Śrī Vyasadeva realized the whole truth by trance in devotion. So here we can see that even for Vyasadeva the word Bhagavan is used, right? Of course the word Bhagavan, we know that it is reserved only for Krishna. But sometimes in the scriptures, this word Bhagavan is used for Narada Muni, for Vyasadeva, devotees like that, some very powerful personalities. But we understand also that there's a difference in the calling. That when we speak about the Lord, we speak as Bhagavan, but we also understand that He is none other than Vāsadeva Krishna. But here, for Bhadrayani is one of the names of Vyasadeva. And He's also referred to as Bhagavan here. So we also heard recently that Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said that one of the ingredients of the association is that what does one practically do after we get the association. So here Vyasadeva is demonstrating from his personal example, and the question is asked. Now we understand also that Bhagavatam generally gets complete very quickly, but because of the rasa, because of the mellow, the hearer keeps on asking questions. If some interesting topic is going on, right, you don't want that to be finished very quickly. You want to hear more and more and more. As in the first canto, it says, Swadu, Swadu, Pade, Pade. It means at every step, there's more and more. Nectar is there, there's more and more. Rasa is there. So here, Vyasadeva, Sūta Gosvāmī is asking on behalf of the sages, that okay, Narada Muni left, and the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadeva heard everything from Śrī Nārada Muni. But then what did he do? And Prabhupada writes in the last sentence, before commencing the great epic Srīmad Bhāgavatam, Śrī Vyasadeva realized the whole truth by trance and devotion. I heard one class recently where it was said that Bhagavad Purana was already there in the 18 Puranas. In the 18 Puranas it was all there. There are 6 Puranas in the mode of goodness, in mode of passion 6 Puranas, and 6 Puranas in the mode of ignorance. So Bhagavad Purana was already there in the mode of goodness Puranas. But when, after hearing from Narada Muni, when Vyasadeva again goes into trance, he goes again into samadhi, then when he compiles Srimad Bhagavatam, the edited version, that is this Bhagavad Purana, which is the spotless Amala Purana. So then he is compiling the Srimad Bhagavatam after realizing the whole truth based on instructions of Śrīla Nārada Muni. Text number 2. We'll just do this last text and then we'll stop. Sūta uvaca brahmanadyam sarasvatyam ashramah paschime tate Śamyāprāsa iti prokta Ṛṣīnām satravardhanaha. Sūta, Śrī Sūta uvaca said on the bank of the river intimately related with Vedas, Brahmanas, saints and the Lord, this river Sarasvatī. Sarasvatyam, Sarasvatī, Ashramaha, cottage for meditation, Paschime on the west, Tate bank, Śamyāprāsa, the place named Śamyāprāsa, iti thus, Proktaha, said to be Ṛṣīnām of the sages, Satravardhanaha, that which enlivens activities. Translation and purpose by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, Śrī Sūta said, on the western bank of the river Sarasvatī, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation at Śamyāprāsa, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sages. Purport. For spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere are definitely required. The place on the western bank of the Sarasvatī is especially suitable for this purpose, and there is the ashram of Vyasadeva at Śamyāprāsa. Śrīla Vyasadeva was a householder, yet his residential place is called an ashrama. An ashrama is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. Can you repeat that? An ashram is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. It does not matter whether the place belongs to a householder or a mendicant. The whole Varnashram system is so designed that each and every status of life is called an ashrama. This means that spiritual culture is a common factor for all. The brahmacharis, the grihasthas, the vanaprasthas and the sannyasis all belong to the same mission of life, namely realization of the Supreme. Therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality on the strength of renunciation. The sannyasis are held in high estimation on the strength of practical renunciation. So again, this purport Prabhupada gives us many points to meditate upon. Vyasadeva is going to, he's situated in Śamyāprāsa on the western bank of the river Sarasvatī, which is connected with the Vedas and Brahmanas. And he's got a nice ashrama. We of course know that anything we want to do something very important, we need a sacred space, we need sacred time. So these are the things which are required. And that's why when we want to practice spiritual life, the early morning time before Brahma Muhurat is very vital, very important. Because, then everything else is sleeping except our phones, of course. So make sure that when we are practicing, the phones are away from us. So, we need a sacred space, a sacred time, and then practicing spiritual life becomes easy here. Vyasadeva is going to write something, compile something, give us the knowledge after going into trance. And then Prabhupada says, even though he was a householder, his house is called an ashrama. What is the meaning of an ashrama?
Where you say
Yes, where spiritual culture is very important. The word ashrama comes from the word ashraya. Ashraya means to take shelter. So we have to understand that the house where we are living in belongs to Krishna, and we are getting ashraya in that house. That's not my house, your house, or anyone's house. That belongs to Krishna. And we get ashraya, that's why we are called ashrama. And that's why it says, an ashrama is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. So what are the other cultures we can think of besides spiritual culture? Indian culture, hippie culture, educational culture, material culture, disco culture. Whatever culture, yes? The Prabhupada says here the spiritual culture is foremost. So how does the spiritual culture is built? By establishing a place like that and by continuous practice. It is not that we just, do basic minimum, have some photos on the walls and it becomes spiritual. No, that's a good start. But if you understand that, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that every home, every factory, every office, every shop should become a temple. Because then the consciousness of the entire society will be very uplifted. So the brahmacharis, the grihasthas, the vanaprasthas and the sannyasis all belong to the same mission of life, namely a realization of the Supreme. So mission of every one of us is realization of the Supreme. Keep in mind that always the mission, the vision, mission and value of our life should be realization of the Supreme. Therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality and the strength of renunciation. The sannyasis are completely renounced, so they are given the highest regard. The vanaprasthas are a little less renounced, so they are given less regard, and so grihasthas and brahmacharis. And Keshav Maharaj very nicely puts that the life of brahmachari should be to learn. A brahmachari must devote his time to learn. A grihastha must devote his time to earn. A vanaprastha must devote his life to turn from the social attachments. And the sannyasi's life is to return. Return means completely take a U-turn and return back to Godhead. So learn, earn, turn and return. Brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha and sannyas. So when we are renounced, then we are, doesn't matter whichever household or whichever life you are in. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, whichever way you are situated, if you just surrender to Krishna and if your life is Gopi Bhartura Padakamalayur Das Das Anudas, if you understand that every step I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the master of the Gopis, Gopis Bhartura Padakamalayur Das Das Anudas. So same way, in the social structure, we have Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. And there also the classification is dependent on the strength of their renunciation. The Brahmanas are the most surrendered to the Lord, and that's why they do not expect any income from any fixed job. This is completely reliant on the Lord. Whatever comes, is enough for me. Because he's completely surrendered. He's Brahmana, he's the head of the society. Kshatriyas are less surrendered, so they need something to rule over. Right? But in most times, in earlier times, almost everyone was a Raj Rishi. Parikshit Maharaj was a Raj Rishi. Arjun was a Raj Rishi. Yudhishthira Maharaj was a Raj Rishi. So they were all Raj Rishis, completely surrendered to the Lord. But because of less surrender than Brahmanas, they need some kingdom. The Vaishyas are a little less surrendered, so they need to engage in business. And Prabhupada says little cheating is allowed. Little cheating means very little cheating. That was also, Prabhupada said, how much cheating? All he is to do is just tell you that I'm not making any profit out of you. I'm giving you just cost price. Of course he's making the profit. That's about it. But no more cheating required. And the Shudras, because they are least surrendered, they need an immediate master. So they can follow from there. So here, we stop here. Prabhupada says the mission of life is realization of Supreme. Let's make that as our mission of life. Every minute, every second, and every day, every week, every month and every year. Grantaraj Srimad Bhāgavatam ki, Śrīla Prabhupada ki, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So any questions or comments, reflections, realizations?
One comment would be, it's interesting how when we see at the end of the chapter in 6, that when Narada Muni left, he left singing the glories of the Lord in his vīṇā, and doing so he's taking pleasure and he's enlightening everyone. And usually it so happens that when devotees come and when they leave, the devotees are always happy in all circumstances, but we become sad, deprived of their association. And then in the next chapter when you start, we see that after Narada Muni is left, what actually Vyasadeva does is, whatever instructions he's got from Narada Muni, he actually dives down into it.
Yes.
And that is actually the solution, not to feel sad and depressed when we actually follow the instructions of the devotees.
Yes. Yes, yesterday in the morning, Sanatan Prabhu messaged me because he's doing this service of organizing Rath Yatra in honor of his spiritual master who left last year. So, we're saying that yes, this service actually is the only way to not feel depressed. Because then service makes you happy and satisfied. So, yes, what you say is correct, that Narada Muni is leaving, he is happy, and he's enlivening others by glorifying the Lord. And here Vyasadeva is immediately acting on the instruction given to him. Yes, we should do the same thing. When we meet, actually when devotees meet each other, they always say, how can I serve you? Or what is your next instruction from me? Can I share something very personal? When Vallabhi also left, the last message to my spiritual master was, awaiting your next instruction. Awaiting your next instruction. Because she had just finished helping in organizing of Kartik Parikrama, and then they were working on the Sacred Sound Festival in New Govardhan here. They were just working on that, and she said, awaiting your next instruction. The last message to my spiritual master. Anyone else wants to share something? Any questions, comments? No? Sonyamati, was the class okay for you, or was it too much?
No.
Was it okay? Yeah, okay. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Sakirai Prabhu ki
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.